What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode 2 of the Captain's Quarters. I am the captain, Captain Chuckles, and tonight we have another very special guest, and I hope I do him proud with my introduction. I always want my introduction to be good. So, straight out of the 614, he is all things Godfidence. This is the Babushka Baron. This is Mr. Jeffrey John. Welcome to the Captain's Quarters, sir.
You're one of the first few people to finally get that entire thing 100% accurate.
Yes.
Congratulations on that. You need a little bit more enthusiasm with the guy. So.
Okay, I will work on that. If I ever, this isn't about me. This interview is not about me, but I got into the ring. I was able to do my first introduction. It was awesome. It was a bucket list thing to sign off. So if I'm ever anywhere near where you're wrestling and they would allow me, I would gladly do a much better job to introduce you the next time.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
Awesome. But enough about me. We don't want to know about me. I'm not important here. We want to know about you, sir. So, Jeffrey John. The first thing, now normally we start off with the young you, but I got to know first off, where did the Babushka thing come from?
So, ironically, I'm not the only Babushka wrestler on the indie scene. You also have Nikolai White, that's based out of the East Coast, who also is the Babushka boy. Now, for me personally, I'm pretty sure it's probably the same for him. It came from A$AP Rocky. A$AP Rocky has a song called Babushka Boy, and I always had a scarf. Always had a mini scarves around that I would just wrap around my head, but I never did it this way. And I said, well, dang, might as well just do it that way. It's pretty dope. So I kind of switched back and forth between the Babushka style and then the reverse style. So it just depends on the mood and where I'm at.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. It definitely makes you stand out because there's not, I mean, people wear hoods, but it's not a hood. It's a totally different vibe. Totally different vibe.
That's what you want, though. You always want to try to stand out. And as far as with me, when it comes to fashion, I'm always want to stand out. That's why I'm the expert.
Yes, and we're gonna hit on that a little bit later because I want to find out more about how that aspect of your life started and then how it transitioned into wrestling. But Jeffrey, what was a young Jeffrey John like as a kid growing up?
Well, there was many phases, you know. As a young kid, it was always wrestling and then Nickelodeon, wrestling, Cartoon Network, but it was always wrestling related. I was an Attitude Era kid, so I was always watching Raw, but I always watched WCW too. I think Eddie Guerrero, I think that's one of the questions you have, but Eddie Guerrero was the reason why I love professional wrestling. His work in WCW is by far the best work I've ever seen be done prior to being able to see Japan wrestling.
Yeah.
So that WCW Cruiserweight division is what got me to love it, but I was highly entertained with the Attitude Era with The Rock, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, all of those.
Did you have like a preference of WCW or WWE?
I would say WWE simply because it was like it was always being pushed the most and it was always progressing. I think the one thing that stuck with me as far as the WWE over WCW was their tag team division back in the day. So the Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, those like three teams were the ones where I knew as soon as they would get on, it was going to be amazing. And then honestly, the video packages, I think that's one thing that separates WWE from every single company known to man is they know how to put together a video package to get some hype. And the Attitude Era was by far some of the best video packages.
Yeah, definitely. Now, another thing from the Attitude Era is the set design. Do you miss that now in the mainstream wrestling of the elaborate sets that they would have for not even just the pay-per-views, but for like the weekly shows?
Yeah, I miss it. I understand why it's the way it is now. I understand why the company runs the way they do now, period. But I do miss the creativity that they had back in the Attitude Era. I feel like that's one thing that they are lacking now is just true creativity. I feel like they're so focused on corporate propaganda and uh, advertising that they've kind of lost their creativity when it comes to certain things like your stages, your bookings, things like that. You know, they kind of lost their creativity trying to make money.
Yeah. Now you mentioned Eddie Guerrero. Um, did you like the transition that Eddie took when he came over to WWE?
For me, I was a kid, so I didn't understand the transition, so to say. I was stuck on if you're a bad guy, you're a bad guy. If you're a good guy, you're a good guy. And I would cheer for the good guys and boo the bad guys. I think the one thing for me was he was so talented that I was just going to cheer for him regardless. And I would hate that he do anything, heelish or dirty. When
Yeah.
he did it, I just wish that he was a good guy all around. But now as an adult, I love every heel known to man just because I love seeing people ruin other people's fun.
Did you have a favorite persona that Eddie took on throughout his career?
Ooh, I would say, um, ooh, that's a good one. I would probably say his work that he did when he was with China.
Okay.
The whole China, and then I think Jericho was around that feud around the time.
Yep.
Just prior to him getting released, he was. I know he had mentioned that he was like in a bad place, but me as a kid, I found it very entertaining. Though, like when he won I want to say it was the European or the Intercontinental title off of China by like
Mm.
checking on her, making sure she was okay, but it was an accidental pin. That was amazing to me.
That was when WWE could book interesting story.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. So you mentioned Eddie. Was there anybody else that like stood out to you that maybe as you started to think about getting into wrestling that you might have drawn an influence from?
Honestly, the biggest person that got me to commit to wanting to be a wrestler was Daniel Bryan. Just being, I was always a small kid, so I'm never going to be over 6 foot, and I was never over 150 pounds until like 4 years ago. So seeing somebody like Daniel Bryan being billed as 5'10" or 5'11" in main event in WrestleMania, one of the best WrestleManias at that, and then winning the title, it gave me, and I'm sure it gave people hope that are my size or smaller to become a wrestler because if he can do it, if he can captivate an audience like that and win the biggest prize in all of professional wrestling, then why can't I?
Yeah, exactly. Now, being a fan is completely different from making that decision to train and get into the ring. So what was your thought? What was the thought in your mind that you said one day like I want to get into the ring and I want to become a professional wrestler? What was that thought process?
I would say I was at the end of modeling. Like I felt like I hit a ceiling with modeling because of my size and my shape at the time that I knew that like, all right, now I have to transition into something else. I had my fun with modeling. Now I need to focus on something that's going to actually like either A, make me a lot of money or make me very, very happy. I wasn't very getting a lot of great bookings with modeling at the time, and I wasn't very happy with a lot of the stuff that I was doing. So I got a job to where I was able to finally sit down, relax, and then was always eating. Then I put on a lot of weight. So I just started going to the gym, kind of toning up that weight that I gained. And there I am sitting at 180 pounds. And I was like, well, damn, I finally feel like I'm big enough to be a wrestler. So I might as well, pursue it. And a girl that I used to be a club promoter with, her brother wrestled for the home promotion that I started training at. here in Lancaster, Ohio. And so I kind of got connected with him, and then just went from there.
Gotcha. So now the modeling thing. How long did you actually model for?
I would say 7 years maybe. I started when I was 19,
Okay.
and I stopped when I was, well, kind of stopped because I have a show this weekend that I'm doing in downtown Columbus. Just trying to get my feet wet back in that because it's kind of fun sometimes. But as far as like focusing on modeling, I stopped when I was like 25.
Gotcha.
So
How did Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say from 19 to 25, I was just modeling all over.
Gotcha. Now, how did you get into modeling?
It was actually a funny story. I was a club promoter at the time, and was just at a random food spot after the club was out. And as I was ordering food, this just guy walked up to me and said, "Hey, kind of like your build. Have you ever thought about modeling? Blah blah blah." And then he kind of gave me his card. I didn't go to his like agency at the time, but I did. It sparked an interest, so I started looking up agencies in Ohio, and I got with the agency that I started training with. So I just went from there. I got with that agency. I done work with them, and then I started doing a lot on my own. And then I realized I was able to get more done on my own. So then once my contract with the agency was up, that's when I really started doing a lot on the fashion wise, because I did a lot of stuff as far as being an extra in certain things under the agency.
Okay. What kind of what? Now, I mean, look at me. I got a big ass red beard. I know absolutely nothing about fashion, but like, what kind of modeling, did you do?
Majority of it was runway. I did do I did a lot of print work, but majority was runway. And it was just because of the skills that it took to be a runway model. I kind of was very, very interested in, just on both aspects of being a male model, but also like helping train female models, just understanding the techniques and what to do and what not to do while you're walking. It's so fluid, and that's what always interested me the most, was how they were able to walk with such poise, almost like a peacock.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I did. So that's how I got into Columbus Fashion Week, and then that's went into Brooklyn Fashion Week, and then that led into Paris Fashion Week, and then that led into LA, and then that led into New York. So I've done almost all the major fashion weeks a few times. That was my main focus, was being a runway model, just because I love doing it all the time.
That's awesome. Now, what is the most important thing when you're on the runway to keep in your mind as you're coming out and walking down?
Oh, don't look down. That's the number one rule. Never look down. No matter what you are doing, no matter how awkward your walk looks, never look down. And it amazes me how many people can't do that. Like, I don't get it. Especially when there are times when the runway isn't even on a stage, it's just on the ground. How can you not walk without looking down?
Yeah.
It always amazes me.
Okay, now there's got to be a story from one of the places that you modeled that you did this at, that someone took a big ass digger.
Yeah, almost every show.
Oh my.
Almost. Yeah, and we're talking the big fashion weeks, like New York. I did New York Fashion Week maybe 2 or 3 times, and every time I did it, somebody took a tumble.
That's crazy. Hey, God bless them. I can't do it. For many reasons. Okay. So now you made the transition from model to wrestler. Now the promotion and where you trained was Premier Wrestling, correct?
Yeah, Premier Wrestling Alliance.
So
they're based in Lancaster, Ohio.
So did you choose them because they were close? Did you look at anywhere else? Like how was that?
Yeah, so when I was looking at wrestling schools, I think the biggest factor was how close they were, but also because I knew people that were a part of the promotion prior going into it. So I knew Jeremy Rodriguez, he's no longer with that company as well, but he was a guy whose sister that I worked with as far as a club promoter. Okay. So having that prior relationship and that like knowledge of that person kind of helps determine that, but also just the location. It was 40 minutes away compared to everyone else being at least an hour and a half to 2 hours. So
Gotcha.
it was a place that worked with my schedule as far as training time frame, and then just having that prior relationship and then being able to get in there as quickly as possible.
Now, how was your training there? You know, and what was your first bump in the ring like?
So my first bump was the actual tryout I did, and it's a general standard bump they make you do, which is you kind of just stand in place, do a squat, and they pretty much you just sweep the rug from under your legs and you take that bump. The trial was really well. A lot of people that were watching the trial said that I seemed like that I had. They questioned if I had prior training uh, before the trial, and I told them I said I've never done this before, and they just couldn't believe because I was doing so well with the trial. The only thing I really struggled with at first was rope running, but once
Mm.
I understood that, like when you're just running the ropes, it's a cadence. And once you get that cadence down, it's like Runway. Once you get that cadence down, it's just you can do it with your eyes closed.
Yeah, exactly. Now, did you have any sports background when you were growing up as a kid that you played or anything?
Yeah, high school I wrestled, played football, ran track. So I did have that experience. And then in between wrestling and football season, I would train a little bit with MMA. So I did have that experience as well. It wasn't major experience. I would have never gone professional as an MMA fighter. But just having a little bit of experience definitely helped me with my wrestling in high school.
Nice. What was the worst part of your training when you first started?
As far as wrestling, can't even say for. I would honestly say either just understanding what my character was going to be, and then also just the amount of bumps I would take. But taking bumps really isn't that bad. But I mean, everybody has that number that they are going to hit, and once they hit that number, then they just got to stop. But for me, taking the bumps wasn't that bad, and then running the ropes was very smooth for me. I'm very adaptable when it comes to new environments and new surroundings. So my body was able to adapt to the new style of how like much damage it was being put on. I think for me it was understanding what my character was going to be and then figuring that out. I mean, I still work with it and kind of tweak it here and there. I mean, hence the babushka. That's recent. That's less than a year old.
Yeah, and I bet you the discipline that you had from being in the modeling world probably helped out a lot in the discipline that it took to be a wrestler as well.
Yeah, I had a lot of discipline just growing up as far as like how to self-discipline. My grandfather was a retired Marine, so there was a lot of self-discipline implemented into me, and then I was able to understand what to do. Professionalism was never a factor that I struggled with. I was always a professional person, whether it be being a club promoter, being a model, being a professional wrestler, always punctual and respectful, shaking hands. The idea that you have to shake everybody's hand, and if it's not as disrespectful, I never saw that as a disrespectful thing. But I'm also a person who always shakes people's hand, so I don't think about it.
Yeah.
Um, so that professionalism is it was already there for me.
Now you mentioned character development, which is a huge aspect to wrestling. I mean, everybody loves the the big characters, the one that stand out in the ring. What was your character development like for your persona? Like how did you hone in on, kind of where you're going to right now?
For me, I started as the model turned wrestler. I think that's the one thing I struggled with as far as when I came up with a character was I didn't really come up with a character. It's my life, you know. I was a actual model, became a professional wrestler, and then I kind of tweaked it a little bit at the beginning where I was calling myself the social media king and using my cell phone sometimes in matches, things like that. And then that kind of got bored with it. I think that's one thing I struggle with is that I start something, but then I usually get bored with it, or my mind gets like the attention gets grabbed elsewhere. I can't
Gotcha.
just stay focused on one set thing. Whereas this babushka thing has been something that I've stuck with the longest, to be honest. Everything else has been like a few months, and I'm like, oh, look at this over here.
Now, do you have you had any like personally made babushkas for you?
No, but I definitely want one. And I know the exact design that I want too. I just need like to find someone who knows how to make it so I can get it made. And then I'm going to honestly almost like with the Daniel Bryan like guest towel, like I just want to have a bunch of babushkas just all over the
Yeah.
stands and fans and whatnot.
Now, starting out when you did the model turned wrestler thing, did you get any shit from the crowd? You know, just before you even hit the ring, before they even saw you, did they automatically judge you and go, uh, a model and he's going to be a wrestler? Get this guy out of here. Did you get any flack from the crowds or even other wrestlers for that fact when you first started?
I mean, yeah, from other wrestlers, of course. I mean, some of them have never been outside of my state, whereas I've been all over the country and then all over the world. So once they found out that I was a real model, then yeah, you get those shots like, he can't be a model. He doesn't look like a model. Just I broke the mold of what a model looks like. That's what I did. I took a mold that a model should look like, and I broke it by being too good not to be used.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that's kind of what I've been focused on now when it comes to wrestling is just being too good not to be used. But as far as the beginning, the fans, I mean, I have an ego. I'm a narcissist, so yeah, they kind of that energy fed off on them and they reacted to it. Like I said, I'll be the first person to admit that I love myself and I have zero insecurities when it comes to anything about me.
Nice. And watching a couple of times that you've been on the mic and interacting with the crowd or anybody else, you can definitely see that narcissist part of you come out, and it works so well in the ring with the crowds there. Did you have how has it been getting the crowds back to the local events now?
Um, for the longest, I did a few tapings here and there. Like I did the Paradigm tapings, and I did tapings for the PWA. And it kind of felt smooth because I was able to like focus in on how I should be intense wise when I'm in the ring. And then having the fans back, it would the time away from them helped me react better to them. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like having something gone where you can focus on one thing kind of helps while you're focusing on one thing, your brain just naturally like taps into what they're doing. And I honestly, I love that the fans are back just so that they're there in person and I can upset them and see the looks on their faces. That's the one thing that I love is just being able to see somebody with just absolute disgust on their face of what I just did or what I just said. It's the best thing ever because it works.
Yeah, I bet. Now I'm monitoring our chat here as we talk. So I see that there's some questions that people have been asking. So I'll interject with some of those as we go through. So one of our regulars, Vic Sage, asks, how many babushkas do you have?
Oof, that's a good question. I want to say double digits, but I don't
Okay,
know.
that's a lot. So now somebody that we're familiar with, if you were in the Twitch last night and you were talking and you saw Val talking, she had Riley Rose on, and Riley Rose is in the chat tonight, and
Oh,
he
yes.
actually has some questions that he'd like to get answered.
Okay.
So let's see. The first one is, who is your favorite opponent and why Riley Rose?
Oh, that's funny because I don't remember ever wrestling Riley Rose. So I don't know how he could be my favorite. He is definitely on my quote unquote list because you know everybody has a list nowadays. So he is on it. My favorite opponent actually is going to be either Jeremy Rodriguez or Krypton. Had the most experience with them. Um, honestly, we can just go out there and just feed off of each other, especially me and Krypton. I always wrestle Krypton like it's a Eddie and Ray. And I
Mm,
think that's why I enjoy it so much. But I will say this, he's only like 130 or 40 pounds, but he is the heaviest cruiserweight to like maneuver around.
nice. Okay. Of course, Riley has another question.
Okay.
He wants to know, how bad were your tan lines in Tampa?
Okay. That's funny, Riley. Definitely better than his. But
Oh,
so I made a mistake of not being extra careful. And first day of the collective, I had a cowboy hat on, so I was perfectly fine. Second day, I didn't have the cowboy hat, and I only had the babushka, and I had my mask. So
oh,
literally everything outside of this was fine. This right here was all burnt.
oh
So it looked
man.
like the reverse of when you're wearing goggles, and then you would expect everything around it to be burnt, and then the goggles would be clear. The opposite.
You had the Lone Ranger effect
Yes.
going on. Okay. We're gonna go back to regular wrestling stuff for a little bit. So you've wrestled in a number of different places. Um, Most recently, Unsanctioned Pro, I think. You had a little a match there at, and then you had some action next up, which was, I think, 2 weeks ago now. I think you were
It
there
was
as well.
2 weeks ago. Now I will say this: the unsanctioned one, that was that ironically, that was an unsanctioned match. It wasn't official. It wasn't on the card. They didn't show me enough respect to book me in the vicinity of my own city. So I've already had words with them. Um, Whenever they have a show, they better book me, or they will always get that Kanye treatment every single time. So that was an unsanctioned match. It doesn't count. I'm still I'm still 0-0 with unsanctioned pro. So yeah, they need to get that taken care of.
And if
If
you
they're
guys
listening, if they're listening, show me some more respect when you're in my city.
and anybody watching, you can go on IWTV Live, go search for Unsanctioned Pro, watch the match. It's a good match. Jeffrey doesn't come out on the right side of the win column, but that's okay. It didn't count,
Didn't
and
count.
we'll get him next time. So that's all that matters. What was your experience down in Georgia with action? How did you like the next up taping?
I really enjoyed Action. I think Action is an amazing promotion, especially down south for what they bring to the table. I would say the match that I had, I won't speak too much on it. I'll wait for it to air on IWTV. But I hope that for what I was able to do, that it showed the fans down south that they need more babushka in Georgia. I will say that the show that happened later that evening was amazing. Action puts on great shows every single time. They never miss. And I would say the one guy on there who never misses will be AC Mac. So I was the highlight of my night of that entire day was just AC Mac's performance and what he was able to do. That man, I would say, when it comes to confidence, there was probably four people who exudes confidence just as well as Jeffrey John. AC Mac is definitely on that list.
Did you get to talk to AC, pick his brain at all while you were there?
Somewhat, I try to every time I've seen him a couple times. Like even at OWA, he's been there a few times, so I've been able to speak to him then. I definitely try to pick his brain every time I see him.
Nice. Now, while you're training, you're also taking seminars when the bigger names come around. You've had seminars that with Gresham, with Myron Reed, with Shane Taylor. What are those like, and what are you looking to get out of those? When you sign up and go.
For me, it depends on who it is. So I usually get an expectation of how they work and what they do to understand what I'm getting myself prepared for. So going into the Gresham seminar, it's Jonathan Gresham. I knew exactly what he was going to do, which is he was going to train us on different techniques within chain and within just that UK style. And that's the style that I love. Is I love the little things about everything. It's a small detail that will grab my attention before something huge, right? So there are different ways that he was just teaching us how to work a specific arm part, specific leg part, and it's just little transitions that I could have already been doing that I haven't because nobody's shown it to me that make it 10 times better. I will always look at a specific way that somebody does their lockup and does an arm wrench, things like that, way before I see somebody hitting a super kick or a Canadian destroyer.
Gotcha. Now, kind of going back a little bit, you've wrestled a bunch with Paradigm. Now you've done some UWFI stuff with them.
Yes.
How do you like the UWFI rule set compared to, you know, traditional wrestling matches?
It's different, and I like different. It definitely brings a new flavor to the States, something that most people are not used to. I really enjoy just the hard hitting of it. Most people don't know that, like, yeah, I was a model, and yeah, I been all over the world. Growing up in Columbus, Ohio, it's a rough environment, especially where I grew up at. So I was always fighting. I wasn't a softie. I didn't grow up in luxury. So I grew up knowing how to fight and being able to just go out there and just fight somebody, like I did with Handsome Max, going out there and just slapping the S word out of each other.
Oh, you can curse if you want to. You can curse. It's okay.
Okay. Well, we slapped the dog shit out of each other, back and forth, back and forth. I enjoy that type of stuff. I love Bloodsport and I love what it represents. There's too much. I mean, there's a lot of technical within it. There's a lot of submissions. I want to see people go out there and just hitting each other, and that's what the UWFI and what Paradigm provide is just people just hitting each other and wanting to hit each other, and that's what I love.
Yeah.
Like, what does Biggie say? Big meaty men slapping meats.
Yep, exactly. Kush Baby 421, thanks for the follow. And they actually have a question. They want to ask about AWR's owner and how cool he is.
Oh, well, I hope Gary is watching this too, because we just recently had New Blood 4 this past Sunday, and spoiler alert, I won, of course, 3-0 New Blood. So I hope Gary's paying attention. That's 3-0 under New Blood. I hope he's paying attention to that next time he wants to book a title match. Gary's really cool. I will say this about Gary. Gary, when the pandemic happened, I was having issues with PWA at the time. We were having issues in regards to mannerisms and things that I was doing outside of wrestling, protesting aspects of it, just things that I would post in regards. We had disagreements on a lot of stuff, and I was taking a break from them at the time. And Gary was one of the first people outside of Ohio, when Ohio was shut down, to give me an opportunity. So I really appreciate Gary on that. But once again, I showed up and I showed out. Now I'm 3-0. Gary, title shot. Doesn't matter who it is.
Gary, if you're listening, make it happen. The man's undefeated. Come on. Okay, we're going to step outside of wrestling. So we talked about modeling a little bit. What else do you like to do when you're not wrestling? What kind of hobbies do you have? What do you like to do on a free Saturday?
But that's just the thing. I don't actually have a free Saturday.
Always working.
I'm a very boring person, if that's a shocker. Most days I work during the week, get off work, go to the gym. I'll do my meal prep certain days, depending on when I need it done. Days off, I'm usually traveling wrestling. So if I'm not working, I'm usually wrestling. If I'm not wrestling, then I'm probably resting or getting errands done. I haven't really gone out, especially since the pandemic, because I don't trust people in this city because they're kind of gross. when it comes to wanting to either be vaccinated or follow rules or wear a mask. It's just like, just stop being gross. That's what it is. And people in Columbus are gross. They should already been wearing a mask in the first place.
Columbus, heads up. Wear your
Yeah.
mask all the time.
Yes, and stay 6 feet away from me because I like my personal space. That is one thing I will say that should stay regardless of what any type of rules and policies are implemented or go away. That 6 feet rule should have already been in place. Get out of my face.
Right? Don't you hate it? Don't you hate it when you're at a store and you're online and someone's like right up your ass? You're like, dude, can you get back a little bit? Like, relax. You can't check out.
You know what I do? Since I don't like people, I just fart. That's what I do.
I like it. Just fart on command.
Yeah, just fart on command. If you're less than a foot next to me and I didn't ask you to, I'm gonna fart.
There you go. I like it. Okay, so Riley Rose says, "Did you just agree to a death match?"
Oh, hold up. Time out, Riley. See, Riley, I see what you're trying to do. I'm not in that style. So no, I did not agree to a death match. You're trying to be an instigator, and I don't appreciate that. Did not agree to a death match. I said I will wrestle for a title. Doesn't mean I gotta do a death match. I'm a wrestler. Did not train on death match wrestling. That's one thing I will say is I will not do a death match until I ever become properly trained on how to do a death match. I respect deathmatch wrestlers for what they do and what they put their bodies through to just go out there and do it for clout. Because that's what most people are doing now is they're doing death matches for clout when you have these guys who have destroyed their body for the art. So I won't do it. And if I do, it's going to be very different than what everybody else does. It's going to be reversed.
And I'm pretty sure I heard Riley say last night that he wouldn't do a death match either. So I don't think it would be against him anyway.
Trying to instigate.
Right? Okay. Cushy Baby 421 comes back again. He says, I might know a guy that can make that happen. I heard you liked Charlie's belt.
I'll fight. It's 2021. Is it 2021? Yeah, it still is.
Yeah, still is, unfortunately.
I know. I'll fight for the women's title.
Then comes back and says, BS aside, you are a beast, and it's an honor to have you in my locker room. From Cushy Baby.
Okay.
So
I don't know the handle. Who's the handle?
I feel, I don't know. To me, it sounds like it might be Gary.
It might be Gary.
It might be Gary. And if it's not Gary, it's someone that has a lot of insight into AWR.
You know what? I know for a fact that it's Gary because Kush is in the name.
See, it is me. It is confirmed. It is Gary.
All right, Gary.
Gary, thanks for coming into the chat tonight.
3-0.
We appreciate it. 3-0. Let's make it happen. Let's get a title match. Doesn't matter for what you'll go for any title.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay.
Any title, any champ.
So upcoming shows. What can you tell us about where we can find you next?
Okay. Well, unfortunately, because things are starting to get worse again, I had a few cancellations come up. I was supposed to be up in Cleveland this Saturday for MAW, somewhere it's Northern Ohio. Don't know where specifically. That got canceled. It was going to be at a taco festival, and the festival got canceled. And the next week was supposed to be in Pickerton, Ohio for OWA, where I was going to do what everybody has been wanting, and that was unmask Espiritu Maya. And he, for whatever reason, just decided to make a few calls, and then the commission or whatever it was at Pickerton canceled the show because he called. I know he did. He was scared that I was going to unmask him, and he played the coward's move and got the whole show canceled, ruined everybody's day.
Was that was the OWA, like the pool show? Was
Yeah,
that one? Yeah,
yeah,
I saw that the other day. It stinks that things are regressing in some areas, that it's now affecting you guys again because they got to shut down shows.
yeah. It stinks that some people just are out there just ruining moments and ruining time, everyone's time because they're scared to take off a mask.
Yeah. Now you mentioned Espiritu Maya. Now I saw a match against him, I think at EWE, that you guys had. It
Yeah.
was a phenomenal match. I literally thought multiple times that you were going to come out of that match with the W. What was it like wrestling him? And that crowd, now I don't know if it was a crowd or if it was wrestlers, but man, they did not take favor to you, my friend.
And you know what? I will say that is I didn't give them a reason to not even like me. They just didn't like me. But you know what? At this point, that's what I like. For a moment, I was trying to get the fans to like me because I was traveling a lot, and I feel like, well, if I'm a travel, I'm a new guy. You got to get them to like you so that you can just keep coming back. At this point, I'm gonna keep coming back because I'm just too damn good, regardless if they like me or not.
You
But
came out
wrestling,
the curtain, and they give you immediate heat. You took two steps in and they just butchered you. They didn't give you a fair shot at all.
it's a lesson learned. It's a lesson learned. What is the old phrase? FTF? Yeah, I live by that now.
By the way, before we get to the match against Maya, Gary says he'll holler at Justin Kyle and see if he wants another body for the mantle.
Oh God. Listen, Justin Kyle is a big dude, but uh, yeah, I'm sure he'll probably by the time I can get a shot, he'll probably lose it. Hopefully, Justin Kyle, please, can you just like take a break from that title so I can get a shot? Um, nah, I'm not scared. I'm not scared of Justin Kyle at all. I'm not. There's no need to. Justin Kyle is made of the same skin that I am, but a lot more, just a lot more. But oh well.
It's been laid out there. Justin Kyle, if you want it,
You know what, Justin Kyle?
come get it.
Justin Kyle, you're the champ, and I'm the challenger, and I'm challenging you. Justin Kyle, I want the shot. Gary, make it happen. I don't care when. Make it happen.
You heard it here first, everybody. You heard it here. Let's see. Let's see what happens in the future.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now, Val Pancakes also says about Espiritu Maya. She says, "I do want to see if he is as handsome as I feel he might be, but unmasking him would just be rude."
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to be rude. I'm here to get to the truth.
There you go, Val. And Val also says Justin Kyle is fucking terrifying.
Maybe. I saw him like when my first time ever seeing Justin Kyle wrestle, he wrestled I want to say it was Alex Ocean at AWR, and within the first 10 seconds speared him through a door with light tubes, and then his entire like skull was just split open. And then he wrestled for like an extra 15 to 20 minutes with his skull just split open. And I'm just like, yeah, see, this is why I stick to what I do. Because I first 10 seconds and my head split open, I'm quitting.
I the men and women and everybody that does that, I give them massive respect, because there ain't no way I'm taking a light tube to the head and get it dug
You
into
gotta
my forehead. And
you gotta be a special kind of tough for it.
yes,
And I'm
I am
tough.
not that special tough.
Yeah, I'm tough, but I was built different.
So now back to Espiritu Maya. How was that match? Now, was that for the title?
I believe so. It's
Okay.
been so long. And that was our first time ever like working each other. I mean, Maya is amazing. He's one of the future, but once again, he's a fraud wearing the mask. That's how I see it. He could be so much more. Just take the mask off, man. Just take it off. I've seen his face. I won't say whether he's handsome or not, but I've seen it. So I would like for the rest of the world to see it. No, the match was amazing though. Well, it was great. It was a long day. It was cold. We were it's a legit garage, um, just big enough for the ring. But yeah, the match was really good for what it was and for what we were given. But definitely looking forward to match number 2 of Spirit to Maya in the near future. Hopefully, we can have it sooner than later. Was very looking forward to next week. But I will say, after next week, the next time you will see me, not scheduled, but I will make an appearance at Heavy Hitters 3. I'll make a special appearance. Who knows? They might get another Kanye segment. I might pull out the Yeezus and hop in that ring. Never know. Just might happen. After that will be September 18th at EWE. Be wrestling Kai Faden and Shane Boucher. I don't know too much about Shane. I know he's a student from Black and Brave, which I know a few of their guys out there, like Solomon Tupu and Conan Lycan. So pretty cool dudes. So I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table. And Kai Faden, I don't know too much about him other than he used to wear a mask. Now he doesn't, and now he showers in blood. It's kind of gross. So I hope Josh is watching this. Josh, I need you to make sure that he brings proper documentation to show that he is clean, because I'm not wrestling anybody that showers in blood. It's disgusting.
That doesn't sound sanitary.
You trying to be Blade?
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound sanitary. Oh, let's see. Gary again says Alex Ocean jumped off a speaker about 15 feet up onto Justin, and Justin still won.
I was there. I know, Gary. I saw it. Because I lost my mind. I'm just saying, Gary. I'm just saying. It doesn't have to be Justin Kyle. It doesn't have to be Justin Kyle. You have other champions. If you want me to, I'll grab somebody and we can go for the tag titles too. You never know.
Ooh.
But a title shot is what somebody who's 3-0 deserves.
So now, if there was going to be a tag title match, who would you choose as your partner?
Oof, that is a tough one. See, because I'm usually a lone wolf. I'm a one-man wolf pack. But if there was somebody that I would want to win the titles with, regardless of where it is, I would honestly say Morgan Taylor. Me and Morgan have crossed paths at AWR. It was my first victory, but Morgan Taylor has progressed a lot in ring wise. And that's somebody that I also want to see have more success and more attention on the indies as well. So I would say myself and Morgan Taylor. You know, he's gorgeous and I'm confidence, because we're the only G's that matter.
See, and there's a catchphrase and everything already. It's like it's made to be.
Yep.
Vic says, how about a mask versus Babushka match?
Oh, I asked for that. Honestly. I hope Espiritu is listening, and I hope the owner of OWA is listening. I asked for mask versus Babushka. They wouldn't agree to it.
There's a buildup. Maybe they're going to get to that point.
You know what the buildup is? The buildup is that Espiritu is scared because he knows he would be walking out with the mask. That's what he's scared about. That's why he called the Pickerington Commission Board, whatever they are, to get the event canceled. Everybody should be blaming Espiritu Maya for the reason why you are not able to see his face next Friday.
Damn you, Espiritu Maya. Now you mentioned the match with him. It was the first time you guys were in the ring together. What's it like to, get into the ring and call a match and be in there with someone that you haven't had a chance to be in the ring with before, you might not know, how they work and everything. How does that process happen for you in those situations?
For me, well, for me with the Spiritu, it was fairly easy and it was a breath of fresh air because I was wrestling a luchador who knows how to be a luchador. Like I said, I love wrestling Krypton and I love wrestling Jeremy, but Krypton was a luchador who really didn't understand how to be a luchador. So I would have to carry that mode of like, here's what I'm going to do for you so you can showcase you being a luchador rather than then Krypton saying, hey, I'm a luchador. I'm going to do this. I need you to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a breath of fresh air to go in with somebody who understood how to be a luchador so we can put on that style. But in regards to anybody else, when I'm wrestling, when I go in there, I'll just, kind of break the fourth wall real quick. It's just, what do you do? What do you want to showcase? I'll get us there. That's how I see it.
Nice. Going forward, future stuff. We talked about where we're going to see you 5 years down the line from this point. Where do you want Jeffrey John to be?
Ring of Honor, without a shadow of a doubt. I know most people say, "Oh, I want to be in WWE," or "Oh, I want to be on AEW," or "I want to be here, I want to be there." I want to be at Ring of Honor. I have built a relationship with people behind the scenes at Ring of Honor. I have been around the product. It's one of the first places outside of like your WWE and WCW that I actually like watched and fell in love with. And even just recently, I was actually at Glory of Honor in Philly this past weekend,
Okay.
and I had the pleasure of being one of Dalton's boys, and was one of the best experiences that I've actually had. Period. So much fun. Dalton's an amazing person, and just the entire environment of Ring of Honor is something that I love, and I love being around. And I would love to actually be a performer for Ring of Honor, and I would love to travel with them, be in the ring, create the moments that they create, just everywhere in Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor is my favorite place to like be around and watch and and study from. Plus, they have, in my opinion, one of the greatest wrestlers like that's still alive right now in Jonathan Gresham.
Yep. And they also have Shane Taylor there, who
Yeah,
you've done some stuff with before. So
yeah, their roster is so stacked, and I wish people would realize that you have the entire foundation. They are faction stacked. You have the
yes.
entire foundation. Uh, what is it? LFI.
Yep.
Then you got
LFI, STP.
SCP, the Righteous. What else is there? I know there's a few more that I can't think of off the top of my head. Um, and I was just talking about all the factions too, and I can't. But yeah, like they are stacked with so many factions that it's crazy. And even like Brian Johnson just had an entire Philly showcase out there, and he was the first person I met when I actually like started helping out with Ring of Honor, and to see where he's progressed to is like so amazing.
They do have a lot of big names, but also great wrestlers
Yeah.
on that roster. Now, I'm going to bring this back to Riley again because I think there was a tweet where where Riley mentioned something about you being one of Dalton's boys, and I forget
Yes.
what the tweet actually was, and I wish I could bring it up. But now, how was that? How did that happen? Backstory: Chris and I were at Best in the World for that 6-man tag match that Dalton was in, and we saw the whole pomp and circumstance of Dalton coming out, and we were like, this is very interesting. Okay. How was the experience being a part of that ring entrance?
Being a part of the ring entrance was pretty dope. I think uh, he understands who he is, and he understands what he wants out of everything, and he's very detailed. I love people who are detail oriented, so he focuses on the small details too. In the entrance, it was like they would always mention like, hey, you have to do this amount of feedback. You have to do this with your arms. You can't like be a little too loose. Has to be stiff. So he focuses on small details, and
Mm.
that's what I love about Dalton is anybody who is able to focus on the little details understand that those matter. And when a small detail is out of place, something that can look totally perfect will look off. Like, look at the Mona Lisa. If an eyebrow was like half an inch lower or higher than what it was, the entire painting could be ruined.
Yeah. So now we're at that 5-year point. You're in Ring of Honor. We're willing it into existence for you. It's going to happen. Who is your first match against now? Yeah, it's 5 years in the future. We don't know who all is going to be there. Let's just say it's the whole roster that's there now. Who is your first match against in Ring of Honor?
Okay, so does it have to be a dream match?
Sure.
Okay, dream match, Jay Lethal.
Okay.
Off the gate, I would love to get the dream match, Jay Lethal.
Let's say not a dream match, just a regular match.
Regular match. That's a good one because there's a lot of guys, there's a lot of talent that I could see like me working. Well, that's a good one because now I'm thinking of like so many names that I'm.
Yep.
And it's like, who would I want to work first? I would say honestly, probably Danhausen.
Okay, I like that.
Get that one out the way. I think that'd be a great like debut against Danhausen. He is a funny dude, super funny.
He is. I mean, anybody who brings teeth to the ring is a little is fun, but a little suspect to me. A little sus.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Vic asks, who do you think is the greatest of all time when it comes to wrestling gear? So who has the best wrestling gear?
That is one of the greatest questions I have ever heard being asked to a wrestler. That is so wild to think of because do you go with someone who was so great at simple stuff, or do you go with somebody from Japan where they look like a Power Ranger? Oh gosh, now it's Vic. Vic, you got me stuck now.
So think about that. Chris said there's a little bit of an issue with your mic, maybe. Your sound is a little bit off. I don't know if.
Do I look good now? I mean, I know I look good.
You look good. I think it's still it sounds a little wonky now.
Really? Let me see. Let me try to do it real quick. How about now?
No, it's the same. Chris, I think we might just have to go with it. It happens. Technical difficulties. It's okay.
It's live.
It's live. Exactly.
We don't have Kevin Dunn in the back.
Oh, there it is. It came back there. Okay, so back to the goat of gear.
That is a great. Honestly, because she does it all on her own, and for what she has done recently, Bianca Belair. Her Black History Month gear, untouchable. I'm sure there are other people that I'm probably not even thinking about right now. And I'm sure most people would go with somebody from Japan because they are so unique. But if you really think about it, a lot of wrestlers in Japan, when it comes to their in-ring gear, if you don't know who they really are, they kind of like morph into the same look.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Bianca's is so amazing because she does it all on her own. So that's adds extra creativity. You could say Johnny Gargano with all of his takeover themed gears. But hers, be able to do that all on your own and have that much skill with it, and it's always different. It's always like, I think one time it was like pictures of herself, but then like her hair, and the hair was like dangling off the tights. Like that was so dope. Even her Royal Rumble 2019, or was it 2020? I think it was 2020 gear when it was just all black leather with just gold like chain details. The simplicity with that was so dope.
You mentioned like the Japan aspect of gear and everything. I feel like Japan, you're either on the one end of way over with being like the Power Ranger character type
Yeah,
thing, or it's so simplistic. It's black trunks or a single color trunk and that's it.
yeah.
There's no real in between. It feels like you're one
Honestly,
end or the other end.
honestly, you like the way I look at Japanese wrestlers now is you know who is going to murder you based off of how little detail their gear has. Like if they don't put any focus on their gear and it's just one solid color, you're probably not getting out that ring.
I like if I was a wrestler and I'd be like, okay, I'm out. I tap out.
Like think about it.
It's
Suzuki,
one color black. I'm done.
Suzuki, simple, will murder you. Shibata, simple, will murder you. Even the older generation of like who else? Like I mean, Kobashi had his green and white, but even still, that was simple. Like that wasn't over the top. It was super simple. It was the one set and was so noticeable. Like murder, like Kenta, when he was just the regular brown and yellow, murder. Like
Mm-hmm.
anything that's simple in Japan equals death.
Simple equals death.
Yep.
That is a
Someone.
t-shirt.
Yep.
Exactly. Since we're talking about gear and doing some research, I saw that you had someone just kind of come up with a new design for you that I think is also was also on your pants in the last couple of matches that I saw. The J and the J going opposite ways. What went into creating that new logo?
So I've had that logo since 2019. It was honestly the first thing that I was thinking about was I need something super unique with wrestling. Like I have Godfidence that I put there, but I needed a symbol. And I was like, well, what is that symbol? What is Godfidence and what would that represent? And I honestly just Prince logo was the inspiration. And I
Hmm.
said, well, okay, so what can we take with this logo to make it very unique? So I got rid of the O at the top, put a crown on there, and then I switched up. Just I pretty much took that arrow and just took it opposite ways to make two J's. It started out with two arrows, and then my friend who designed it also wanted me to have some uniqueness to it. So rather than having arrows, because people just want to think that it looks like a weird Prince logo at that point, I took out the arrows and kind of curved it in and kind of give it a old English style.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it came from, was just me taking the Prince logo and then turning it into two J's with a crown on top.
Gotcha. And see, now you got to get that on your first made babushka somewhere.
See, gotta let them wait for it.
See, we're okay. I'm not rushing anything. I'm not rushing anything. So you've wrestled. We talked about action down in Georgia. You do a lot of stuff up in the mid Atlantic, Northeast, Ohio area. What's the farthest that you've traveled for a wrestling show?
Grind Time Wrestling. Actually, this past June, it was June 26th, which is my birthday. Wrestled down in Sarasota, Florida.
Okay.
We It was myself and Morgan Taylor. We drove to Jeffersonville, Indiana, and met up with the Hornet, Freddie, and then Saban Gage, and then we drove down to Sarasota, and then I proceeded to murder Saban in our match.
What? How long of a ride is that? 20 hours?
I want to say for me and Morgan, it was like 16 and a half, almost 17.
Okay,
And that's with including the drive to Jeffersonville.
that's not too bad. That's not too bad. So, are there other independent places that you want to branch out to? I mean, we know the goal 5 years down the road or sooner is Ring of Honor. Where are some other places that you haven't gotten a chance to wrestle yet that you'd like to go to?
Oh, I can tell you five right now. First one is I want to actually be on a card for action. I definitely enjoy Next Up, but to be on one of the main cards is a goal of mine. And then Limitless.
Up in
I love
Maine?
Limitless and all of their work that they do. Enjoy. I really love them. I know they have a show coming up October 8th that definitely might see my face just out and about over there in that direction. And then you have Black Label Pro. I would love to, be able to connect with them, getting some work done there. And then honestly, I want to just get to the West Coast and find somewhere out there. Maybe actually, Violence and Suffering. Violence and Suffering is a place that I want to go to. Isaac is such a dope dude that he's the one who runs the Violence and Suffering. I met him a few times when I worked GCW and even down at the Collective. So I definitely want to make my way out there pretty soon. Plus, I got to help out my guy Nikolai. I got to help out the other Babushka. He's been having some trouble with Robert Martyr and Daniel Garcia.
Ooh.
So he needs some backup. So Isaac, if you're watching, and Nikolai, if you're watching, you know where to find that backup.
See, now right there's another tag team, the Babushka Bros.
You heard that, Isaac? If you're watching,
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense. And going up against Martyr and Garcia, oof, those are two very heavy hitters.
I know firsthand about Martyr, firsthand, and Foot.
Now, you mentioned Action and trying to get on the main card, not just on the next up. We do a lot of stuff with Action. We love Action. We love CEO Matt. If you were to get on the main card at Action, who would you want your opponent to be from down there?
First, would probably be. So I want to say AC Mac because I love AC Mac and I would love to work AC Mac, but I know that I have to work for that one. So I can't just out the bat request the AC Mac. So first, I would probably say Ashton Starr. Would love to work Ashton. I think that would be a great first opponent, either Ashton or Martyr. I know Martyr does a lot of work down there too.
Yep. Yeah, lately he's been down there a lot. I think both of those, all three of those matches would be good, but that another one against Martyr and it would be your first against Ashton.
Yeah.
Those would be good matches. Okay. So we talked a lot about wrestling. We've run the gamut. We know what you want to do 5 years from now. We know some of the short-term goals. We're going to have a little fun now. Since you've traveled a little bit, I'm sure that you have some sort of fun, interesting, possibly scary travel stories that have happened while you've been on the road. Now, I will say, and this isn't a Riley Rose Part 2 podcast interview here, but Riley did say that you would be in his wrestler car and also said that you are a fantastic driver.
Yeah, I'm a fantastic, I will say this, I'm a fantastic but also scary fantastic driver. I am a get me there as quickly as possible type person without like breaking any major laws. So for me, if you're riding with me, expect to stop as little as possible. I think that was one thing that made the drive to Sarasota rough was we were stopping like almost every 2.5 hours, and I can't do that. Just get us there. So if you're driving with me, we're stopping when we need gas or if my bladder's about to explode.
I'm with you. Same page on that one.
Yeah, and it was one time where I thought it was about to explode because I drank 4 on the way to Jersey a couple months ago, and it was legit scary because we didn't have another stop for like another 20 minutes, and I had to go like right there. And I think in that car was Zach Thomas and Shane Mercer was in the car, and it was like soon as we stopped, got out the car and ran to the bathroom.
Oh man!
Just ran, almost pushed people over. I almost forgot my mask trying to go in there. It was a scary moment.
Okay, so give me a funny road story that's happened to you when you've been out there traveling.
Oh, let's see. Usually they're boring. Never really had any funny ones. I would say just driving with Morgan, because that's who I mainly ride with now is Morgan Taylor. That's why I want to see him like gain a lot more progression within wrestling because a lot of people say that I've been putting in a lot of work in the past year, but he's been right there with me the whole time. So I want to see him get more opportunities as well as me. But I think he's earned a few opportunities in certain places. Cough, cough. Paradigm. As many times as he's been with me and they forget his face. I always tell him he has a forgettable face. That's what it is. People can just recognize me when they see me, whereas he just kind of blends in. But he's been standing out a lot more, and I'm really happy for him as well with that. But funny stories, I mean, we just had one. Was at AWR, had a great New Blood showcase. On the way back, we were in his car because I took mine to Philly, and I was not taking mine from Philly to Indianapolis. So we stopped in Columbus, grabbed his car, drove there, had a great show. We were all happy. And then the ride back was just the absolute worst.
Oh.
I'm a Jack in the Box fanatic. So if we're ever in Indianapolis, we already know we're stopping at Jack in the Box because we don't have them in Columbus. We get to Jack in the Box, we're in line, and we were like 4 cars behind us deep when we pull up to the window to order. And we're sitting there for like 3 minutes. Then eventually I was just like, I'm a rude person too. If you're making me wait, I get very rude and anxious. So I lean across him because he was driving, and I was like, hello, is anybody there? And then like 30 seconds later, they were like, yeah, we're not taking any more orders. Mind you, we're the one supposed to be ordering. There's 4 cars in front of us and then like 3 or 4 behind us. So we had nowhere to go. We couldn't just go around. Oh. And apparently the workers got into it with one of the people like ahead of us. So then they say, forget it. We're just not taking anybody else's order. We're done. So that upset me because when I get my hopes up about Jack in the Box, I get them super high. And to be let down like that hurt my feelings so bad. Oh, and then we were just like, you know what? Hardee's is across the street. We'll stop at Hardee's. They have a good chicken sandwich. I'm going to get that. We get to Hardee's. Nobody's in there. Yeah. Mind you, they were open until 10 and it was 8:30.
What?
And nobody was in. Yeah, nobody was in there. I was upset. So I said, you know what? He took reins and he's like, you know what? I'm going to just drive and then we're going to stop on the way. I was like, all right, fine. So we finally stopped and we grabbed our food. I can't remember where it was. But as soon as we pull out, we park to do 2 things. One, separate the food so we know whose is whose. But also, that was the same time that Walter and Ilya was wrestling. So we needed to stop because he wanted to watch that too. And we watched the match all the way through. Get done. He's ready to back out. He starts to back out, and then his car doesn't go. Like, it'll reverse, but it was like a natural, like, reverse where it was on a hill. Yeah. It wouldn't get no gas. And then he freaks out, parks it, tries to start it up again, wouldn't back out again. And then eventually, like, he was giving it gas, and then it just stopped. Gets out, throws his keys, starts freaking out, kicks his car door, and I'm just like, bro, come on now. We need those keys. Like, regardless of how you feel, we need those keys. And then, honestly, it was just the car was overheated. And then we just had to sit there for an extra, like, 30 minutes. And then, like, he started his car up, and we started driving. He was like, I am not stopping until we get home. But, yeah, the whole freak out was hilarious because he gets out the car, just throws his keys like a drama queen, and then kicks his car door. Meanwhile, I'm getting out the car very casually, like, oh, it shouldn't be that bad. It could have been terrible, but I was just like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not my car.
Now, Jack in the Box closes and or whatever the hell they were doing, not taking your order. No one at Hardee's. So what's the go-to? Now we don't have Jack in the Box where I am in Pennsylvania. What's the? I've had it. I think one time when I was down south in like South Carolina or something. What's your go-to meal at Jack in the Box?
All right, so it's not technically a meal.
Okay.
I get some certain things. So I get the loaded mini tacos and then a side of egg rolls. And if I'm feeling frisky, I'll also get like chicken tenders because the ranch sauce is amazing. But my go-to is the loaded mini tacos and then the egg rolls.
The fact that they have loaded tacos and egg rolls.
Yeah, see, you're missing out.
Makes me a happy man just to think about it.
You're totally missing out.
Oh, Christopher says don't knock the egg rolls. I would never knock the egg rolls. I love egg rolls, man.
They are amazing. Me and Morgan Taylor have legit like driven around the entire city of Indianapolis, going to different Jack in the Boxes. I think it It was the collective last year in Indianapolis. So that actually was a funny weekend too, because I don't mean to get off topic, but like day one, we're there, we helped out, and our idea was we're going to like kind of thug it out night one, and then get a room for night two going into day 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just got these new boots in the mail as we left Columbus going down to Indianapolis. So I couldn't like they got there after. I was like, dang, I really want those boots because we're gonna be taking there. Everybody's gonna be taking pictures. I had gear done. I want to get new pictures taken, blah blah blah. And I needed the boots for them. So he was like, so what do you want to do? I was like, all right, you know what? I'll drive us back to grab my boots, and then we'll drive back. And that way, you don't have to worry about driving. You can just sleep because we were tired. Well, me being the a-hole that I am, we are on the road for not even 45 minutes. And then I tapped him and go, I need you to take over. And then he just hit the biggest, like, oh, you fucking. Yeah. And then he took over, drove. I grabbed my boots, and then we literally, like, I think took like a 2-hour nap since we were in Columbus, and it was a 3-hour drive back. And then drove back, helped out night two. And then night two, after everything was over, we left and we were like, okay, cool, we're going to grab Jack in the Box since it's open 24 hours. And there was one right by the venue, not even 5 minutes away. We go to that one. That one was closed. Then we go to the next one that was closest, which was like 20 minutes away. We went to that one. That one was closed. And that one was by our hotel that we were staying at. So the one that was actually open was all the way across town on the other side of Indianapolis. So we drove all the way around to that and then stayed in line because it was a long line. It stayed forever. We stayed in line for probably an hour. Got our Jack in the Box, got back to our hotel. It was 4:30 in the morning.
Oh my lord!
We were up at like probably 11 because that was when the Effie's gay brunch was going on that Sunday. I think that's when I started the Sunday show. But yeah, so we literally drove around the entire city of Indianapolis just to get Jack in the Box. That's how crazy I am about Jack in the Box.
And did you get the egg rolls?
Yeah,
and the taco.
Sure. Yeah.
See, I think those sometimes are the best things. Are the ones that you could just mix and match.
Yeah.
You know, like last night, my family and I we went after we were doing something else. We needed a little snack, and we went to Checkers, and they have a 2 for $5 double deal, and I got the double spicy chicken sandwich and 2 chili dogs.
It's not gonna tell you're from Pennsylvania because you call it Checkers.
I mean that's what it's called. It's called Checkers.
We call it Rallies.
See, okay. See, and Chris even says it's Rallies. Well, I'm sorry.
They have the best fries out of any fast food place. The best fries.
As a fat man, I have to go with I'm an Arby's curly fry kind of guy.
Like Rallies, Checkers are the only place besides Popeyes because they have the same type of fries that don't need anything to go with the fry.
True.
With Arby's, you still need either the cheese or the Arby's sauce.
Yeah, I can see that. Now, having grown up in New York, though, I will never, ever, ever pass up the Nathan's crinkle cut fries when I'm at a Nathan's. And there are not many places.
What part of New York is that in? Because I've been to New York quite a few times.
I grew up on Long Island. The original Nathan's was, of course, in Coney Island. And the second Nathan's that they opened up was in the town that I grew up in Oceanside. And unfortunately, they had to downgrade. I'm sad. They went from their big restaurant to a little tiny restaurant now, but they're still there. So it makes me happy when I go back and visit my dad. I can get some Nathan's, get some hot crinkle cut fries. I love them.
See, I'm so weird when it comes to New York. Like a lot of people, they go to New York, they go to like every tourist spot out there. Every time I go to New York, from the first time I've been to like most recent, I go and I'm usually staying in Harlem because my brother's grandfather lives out there, or I'm in Brooklyn. So I'm either in Brooklyn or Harlem, just chilling, relaxing, walking around, sometimes getting my legs fresh. but you would almost think that I live there. Just how I just naturally adapt to be operating in New York. Whereas some people are like, you can't handle it. I'm just like, how can you not handle this? It's so easy. Just keep moving.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like if you're a tourist to New York, get the hell out of the way, because if you're not moving fast enough, you're gonna get run over by people.
You'll get run over by a pigeon.
Yeah. That is true.
When it comes to their destination, they got places to go.
No, exactly. Okay, so we hit a bunch of different things here. I like this. Now we're gonna go to a new segment that I started when I started the captain's quarters. We don't have any flashy graphics or anything that Chris has to put up yet, or any flashy music. But Jeffrey John, are you ready to play the Wrestlers Feud?
I am almost ready. I will just say this as a side thing. I get the little monkeys in the background, but this is the captain's quarters. We need bikini bottom. More bikini bottom. I think that will definitely need more elements of bikini bottom.
I know the captain's quarters is a relatively new thing. Christopher, can you work on getting some of that? Can we get a captain's quarters background? Can we get copyright?
Okay, that makes sense.
I can just put a pineapple up behind me too.
Yeah.
There's just a pineapple there.
Well, the top already looks like a pineapple, like the top of a pineapple.
Right? See, exactly. Christopher, let's work on. Christopher says coconuts too.
Yep, that's
coconuts. Good. Okay, I'm good. So, Jeffrey, I'm sure you've heard of Family Feud. You know how the game is played. They give you a question. There's a number of answers that are on the board. So, tonight, the top 1, 2, 3. Wow, I can't even count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 answers, if I counted right. 5 answers. I took off the 6th one. Top 5 answers are on the board. The question, and you get the traditional 3 strikes.
Okay.
The question is, name something you'd see more of at a wrestling match than a tennis match.
Okay. Not you I'm just guessing.
You're just guessing. You got as many guesses until you get 3 X's.
So if we're going off of now, I'd say light tubes. That's an X?
That is an X, sir.
Oh, man. Okay. So I'm trying to think of what are at tennis matches rather than.
Yeah, not necessarily. We're just talking about, I'm going to go just a traditional wrestling match. Nothing crazy or anything like that.
What you're going to get more of? More drunk people.
Good answer. However, I know. Wow. I did not come up with these answers, but that is a very good answer. But it is not.
This is another conspiracy to make me look bad. I think Espiritu Maya has brought in this question. I'm blaming him because this is a hard thing to think about. Who thinks about?
I know. Okay, you got 1 X left. Again, I'll read the question again. Name something you'd see more of at a wrestling match than a tennis match.
I can't say cheating because it's been a lot of that lately. Can I get a hint since the Spiritu is conspiring against me?
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna give you a hint to the number 1 answer.
Okay.
And the hint is a right cross to the face.
Punches?
We're going to accept it. We're going to take that as fighting. Fighting is the number one answer. Okay. You still have one chance left. We already took the number one off the board, fighting. 61 people said fighting. What else do you have for me? And Christopher in the chat, shut up. I don't care if you don't like my Wrestlers Feud. I'm doing it. It's fun for me, so you shut your mouth.
Wait, he doesn't like the Wrestling Feud?
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
This would be fun if a spiritual wasn't conspiring against me and gave me this question. Let's see. We need some Jeopardy music. Can I say Jeopardy? Can I say that?
We can say Jeopardy because your life could be in jeopardy. You only have one X left.
Yeah. I mean, I only had one period, so let's see. So fighting was the number one answer. So I'm feeling a theme here. You're going to see more half-naked people.
I'm gonna have to throw up the last X.
Was it close to something?
It was close. So Christopher in the chat actually had one of the answers, spandex.
That's half naked.
It could be a full singlet or something. I don't know. I don't make up the rules. Actually, I do make up the rules, but okay. So number one was fighting with 61 people. Number two, muscles. Muscles. Apparently, tennis players don't have a lot of muscles.
Have they seen Federer? Federer's muscular.
I did not.
Wrestlers?
I did not vet these 100 people that answered this question. So
who were these 100 people? Was it all of Spiritu Maya?
Possibly. Number three on the board was men. Okay, sure.
First of all, whoever said that was dumb because
I agree.
Yeah. So all of those who said men, it was dumb.
I agree.
Stupid. Not smart.
Number four was spandex. Chris had that from the chat. And the last one on the board, was yelling with 6. I don't know.
Have they not heard of tennis players grunt? That's loud as hell.
Yeah, I know. But Jeffrey, thank you for playing the Wrestlers Feud. We started off last week. Landon Hale was our first one. I believe he got, and I have it written down somewhere, he had somewhere around 70-something points. So right now, Landon is in the number one spot with 70-something points. Jeffrey, you are number 2 with 61. So we're going to keep this going. We're going to see what happens. There's going to be some sort of prize. I don't know what it is. Chris says the question was garbage. I don't care. It was fun. We're going to move on. And we're going to go on to a question that Val asks on the stack.
Oh,
Vic,
yeah.
Vic, I'm sorry that the answer sucked. I did not interview the 100 people to get the answers.
Espiritu did. Vic, blame Espiritu Maya. I want everybody to go on Twitter right now and hashtag and tweet cancel Espiritu Maya, and then just put the reasoning because he has been conspiring against Jeffrey John, and it's unfair.
And to throw in, we also need the Mask versus Babushka match. So
there you go.
Make sure you mention that too. Okay, so Val Pancakes. It's in her name. She loves pancakes. She always asks, how do you take your pancakes?
I like that this question is being asked because I think I mentioned it earlier this week because I believe she asked it. Notice the background, the blue, white, and the red. Yeah, it's France. So I take my pancakes and I throw them away because I eat French toast. Secondary option would be waffles, but waffles and pancakes are legit the same thing, just made a different way. Same batter. But French toast, neither one compared to French toast at all whatsoever. But I will say French toast is also like your equivalent to like macaroni and cheese. It's like depending on who makes it, it can be the greatest thing or the worst thing to be created.
True. And I agree with you. I do love French toast. Now, if you have French toast, do you go for the thicker slices like the challah types of bread, or are you like traditional bread, you know, the like whatever it is, the quarter-inch slice, you
Oh,
know?
I like my French toast like I like my women thick. Okay. So you gotta go thick. My goal is to get famous enough to be able to have a relationship with The Rock and get
Okay.
a plate of his style of French toast because his style of French toast, like one slice is like this big.
Damn.
It's so amazing. I think he always posted on like his Instagram sometimes, but it's so thick and it looks so good that like I really just want to build a relationship with him so I can like have workout sessions with him at the Iron Paradise and then eat French toast with him. That's
Nice.
my ultimate life goal.
The Rock, I know you're watching. You love us. We love you. Can you help the man knock something off his bucket list there and invite him over for some French toast and some workout?
I need everyone who is watching to do two things for me. Go on Twitter. First things first. Tweet at Espiritu Maya. Blow his phone up because I'm sure he's probably asleep. Wake him up. Blow his phone up. Second thing. Tweet at The Rock. French toast and gym session. We need that. That's the hashtag. French toast and gym session.
Now, have you ever made your own French toast?
No, because I am terrible. Terrible. I'm only good at eating French toast.
Okay. I was gonna ask how would you make your French toast? I don't think Riley is in the chat room anymore. I think you scared him off. Oh no, he actually is. He's still here. So even though Riley's in the chat, I'm gonna ask him, Riley, how do you make your French toast? Let's see if he gets back to us.
Riley's in the Army. I'm sure he doesn't know how to make French toast. He's an Army boy.
I'm sure he's got the culinary background. Sure,
regardless of what he makes, he puts his foot in it.
He wrote how many C's. I'm not sure what that means.
How many C's?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
This is how I know he doesn't know how to cook.
Vic says, "Ooh, salty toast." Vic, you've never had French toast if you think it's salty toast.
Yeah, ever.
Like, come on, you get that bread, you soak it in the egg with a little bit of milk, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of vanilla. You let that sit for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Pop it in a hot pan with that sizzling butter.
I'll say French toast has actually gotten me to actually add a little bit of cinnamon to my eggs too. Whenever I make eggs, add a little bit of cinnamon in your eggs. Amazing.
Wait, whoa, time out. Cinnamon to your eggs.
Yeah. So I always eat my eggs scrambled, and what I do is the way I mix them is I do two eggs, and I do like the like free range eggs. So I get 2 free range eggs, and I throw in like 8 whites. So I do more egg whites than actual egg yolk.
Okay.
So I have that in there, and I put a little bit of pepper, a little bit of pink, like pink sea salt.
Yep.
and then just a dash of cinnamon.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's so
Interesting. I will have to try that. I will have to try that. That sounds interesting to me. I've never. I'm a very. My wife always yells at me because I never use enough seasoning for her, and it's usually the seasoning is like when it comes to salt and pepper, and I'm like, bro, listen, you can put extra salt and pepper on it if you want to, but the day that I put too much salt on something and then you complain about that, that's the last day I cook for you.
yeah.
That's it. See, you can always put more salt and pepper on. It's the other stuff. It's the other stuff that really matters to it.
It's
Oh, so I have the answer from the how many C's question. Riley came back
okay.
in the chat. He said, "How many C's for how thick?"
Oh, oh, it's definitely oof. I think it's more THs than more C's.
Ooh.
It's definitely three T's and two H's. No, it's two T's and three H's, but then four C's. So it's like five against four.
Okay. There you go.
One I, because you gotta get past the I. The I's in the way. It should just be all THs and then C's. Skip the
Yeah.
I.
Just skip the I, get it out of there. You don't need it. Everybody knows what it'll mean.
Yep.
And also Riley says the batter for French toast has vanilla and cinnamon with French bread.
Yes.
With French bread.
But can he make it though? He might know this because he Googled it.
So that a challenge. There's a cook-off challenge just to see if Riley can make French toast.
That honestly should be an actual TV show. Wrestlers on a cook-off. And then if it's a tie, sudden death is Deathmatch.
Oh, look at that. I like where your head's at. I like that. Chris, let's get some copyright on that with Jeffrey here. We'll get him in. That's what we're doing. That's the next. somehow we'll get a test kitchen and we'll just invite wrestlers to this test kitchen that is nowhere, and we'll do this somehow. I don't even know how. One day, dreams. Okay, so we talked about pancakes. We talked about French toast. Val is probably very unhappy with your answer, but that's okay. She's really Val Waffles, even though she won't admit it.
Yeah.
But now,
cleared it up.
yeah. But now we're gonna talk cookies, and as a tradition, on any Bald Monkeys network show, anything that we talk about, we need to get your choice of Oreo cookie. The two choices. Now, people have strayed a little bit here and there over the year that we've been asking this question, but primarily we want to know, are you team single stuff, the original regular Oreo cookie, or are you on team double stuff?
Naturally, I would say I don't eat Oreos because I don't. Only time I do is when it's in cookies and cream ice cream.
Okay.
So that's what I would say. But since we're going to stay on topic here, since I've strayed so much, I will say single stuff. Single. About as single as my entire life. Yeah.
Chris says shut it down, close up shop. Wrong answer. Wrong answer.
There's a reason why I say single though.
Okay. Let's hear it.
I am not heavy on frosting. I don't like frosting. Like if I ever get a cupcake or a cake, I will swipe off the top. I really don't like frosting on like that because it just makes me sick to my stomach if I have too much of it. So I will definitely choose single for the benefit of everybody else, for me not wanting to throw up. That's why. It's nothing against Oreos. It's everything against frosting itself.
Okay. Chris,
But I'm sure he still wants to shut it down.
Vic said ban him. We had some of the bald monkeys double stuff emotes in the chat. Chris also says swipe off the top. Just take the bottom and make it into a cupcake sandwich.
No, that's gross. Like, I for the longest time though, I didn't like whipped cream. For me, like back in the when I was a kid, I hated whipped cream. It wasn't until I became an adult and I had fun with it that I like actually enjoyed whipped cream. So like for me, frosting, I used to love frosting. Like I would be able to eat a cupcake in a single bite, regardless how big it is. I would just like, why waste your time trying to eat a cupcake and get your whole face messy? Just throw the whole thing in there and just eat it. It's just at a certain point, too many people are starting to get too creative with their frosting and their icing, and it's just they strayed away from the original like style of icing and things like that. So it started to become too much for me. A lot of icing became too sweet. So whenever I would just do that, it kind of like it's almost like when you eat something so many times you love it, but then somebody like replaces it with something and ruins it for you. Like for me, I love jelly cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving time. Well, my mom tricked me as a kid, and instead of giving me cranberry sauce, the jelly kind, she gave me beets. And me as a kid, I was kind of stupid and gullible. So I bit into the beet thinking it was jelly cranberry sauce and immediately wanted to throw up. And it kind of like I always double check my jelly cranberry sauce now just to make sure.
Okay. Now now you've mentioned something that annoys me too. And it's beet.
Yeah.
That is the worst vegetable ever.
Next to the tomato. Tomatoes are pointless.
I agree. I am not a tomato person. I people who can slice a tomato and like just put salt on top and eat it like that, get the hell out of here. If you can if you can eat a tomato like you eat an apple, get the hell out of here. There's a door. There's a door. Go to it.
Like Arkham. They need to be in Arkham Asylum.
Oh man, beets are the worst, and for your mom to trick you like that, that is horrible.
Yeah.
That is hard. But okay. But is there anything better than the canned? Is it the canned jelly?
Oh yeah, for sure. If it doesn't have the can ridges on there, I'm not touching it.
See, I knew there was another reason why I liked you, Jeffrey. It's the candy to slice it. It's just perfect. Perfect. Okay. You've redeemed yourself from the Oreo question. I know that others will not forgive you for the wrong answer of the single stuff, but that's okay.
We don't interact in a forgiving community. So I'm pretty sure my bookings will get canceled here in the next few months.
We heard you like single stuff, regular Oreos. We had to take you off the show. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Book this man. Book him. Okay, we're coming down to the wire here. We're almost done. We talked about where you're going to be showing up next. Let everybody know where they can find you social media wise out in the internet land.
Okay. Everything with IG and Twitter is all I am Jeffrey John. I do have a wrestling page on Facebook as well as I am Jeffrey John. You're not getting my Snapchat and you're not getting my actual Facebook page. Those are for me and my homies. So unless we're actually really cool, or if I'm like being nice, you're not getting the Snapchat. So that's about it. I am Jeffrey John is on everything, and it's R-E-Y. I don't know who needs to hear this, but it's spelled Jeffrey. E-R-Y doesn't even look right.
Jeffrey.
Yeah. Can't tell you how many times I've gotten a actual like flyer made, and I want to promote the entire show and promote the match, but it's spelled E-R-Y. And then sometimes I get too quiet or too hesitant to try to tell them to correct it because I don't want to come off like a diva, but it gets annoying.
I would assume. Now, did we do it right? Did yes. We? I think we spelled it right.
Yes, you did. Okay. Definitely got it right.
Good. Graphics department, you guys can stay for another week at least. Okay, you guys are good. Thank you. Okay, Jeffrey, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the Captain's Quarters tonight and sharing stories and letting everybody get to know you a little bit better. I do have one more question, and it's themed to the show.
Okay.
So, if you had a choice to be on a pirate ship, which captain of that ship would you choose? Would it be? Would
you
it
giving me
be?
options?
I do have options. I do.
Okay.
Would it be Captain Jack Sparrow from
Okay.
Pirates of the Caribbean? Would it be One-Eyed Willie from the Goonies?
Oh my gosh.
Or
Okay.
Captain Hook?
One-Eye Willie. One-Eye Willie.
Again,
Goonies is my favorite 80s movie of all time.
I love it. Again, you have redeemed yourself from the Oreo question for me personally. I love the answer of One-Eyed Willie. And thank you for knowing who One-Eyed Willie was.
Oh, Goonies is if it's not the best 80s movie, it's definitely top 3 with Lost Boys and Breakfast Club.
Agreed. 3 great movies. Okay, Jeffrey, thank you so much again. It's been a pleasure, sir. Everybody check him out on Instagram, on Twitter, his wrestler page. Don't go to try to find his personal page. Don't be that guy or that girl. Don't do that. Just follow the regular stuff out there. Make sure you follow, make sure you watch his matches on IWTV. There's plenty up there that you can see. There's plenty that's going to come forth in the next couple of months, I'm sure. We're going to will that 5-year Ring of Honor into existence for you as well. Everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. Christopher, thank you for keeping everything. One more.
Before we go, I do have new merch coming in. Mind you, I don't have any cartels or anything like that for online purposes, but once I get t-shirts back to me, if you want one, I'll definitely make a post about it here on Twitter and Instagram. And then I also have new stickers in and 8x10s in. So definitely get in touch with me and we'll get some stuff set up. Definitely looking to get that stuff out there, especially with shows being canceled for the next 2 weeks.
Yep. So everybody, when you see that post, we'll make sure to tweet it out as well. Get in touch, DM them, get that stuff, get some merch, get some new merch. Everybody loves new merch. Again, yes. Jeffrey, thanks for hanging out tonight. Everybody in the chat, thanks for hanging out. Thank you for all the questions. We're gonna sign off. Jeffrey, hang out for 1 second. We'll just be in the green room with the 3 of us. Okay. I know we got interviews next week. I don't know who they're gonna be yet. So just do what you normally do. Check our Twitter. Watch it when that stuff comes out. Because I know we got some good stuff in the works. So everybody, thanks. This has been the Captain's Quarters. Chris, send us out, my friend.